Okay, hands up. 1, 2. That wasn't not our snappiest. Welcome to the Rolling Coynes Podcast. I'm Ross.
I'm Krystal.
And what do we do on this podcast? We recap our jiu-jitsu journey. This is episode 22, recapping weeks 33 and 34 of our jiu-jitsu journey.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't record last week. Can't remember why, though. 4th of July.
4th of July. It was a holiday.
We were out of town.
Happy birthday, America.
Happy birthday, 250.
Yeah, it's been an eventful 2 weeks.
It has. When you were writing your notes, I didn't really know. I'm just going to kind of wing it.
Yeah, we're just kind of, we're just here today.
Yeah, totally. We're here because we can't go 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We're also here because next weekend will be comp weekend. So if we do record, great.
We should.
Yeah. But I don't want to go until that point.
No.
So.
Well, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start.
Tell me who did this to you.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to start at the beginning.
Okay.
Try to remember 2 weeks ago. I probably went to 4-ish classes, maybe 3 the week before last. I knew that we weren't going to get a ton of time in any time Friday and Saturday because we were visiting friends, and we got back. I'm kind of jumping around, but that last weekend we visited friends on Friday and Saturday, and we got home on Sunday. And on Sunday,
I'm going to stop you so that we can be a little more specific
on the dates.
Dates. So week 33 was the week before 4th of July.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the end of week 33, we went to visit our friends.
To the 3rd.
Yeah. We went to go visit our friends, and we got back on a Sunday, and I went to an all-women's open mat that happens once a month.
Yeah.
So that was my, I think, 3rd session of the week. And then before that, it's easier for me just to remember kind of backwards from there. Thursday evening, I went to comp class, and I got like 8 rounds in. And then I think I went on Tuesday as well. So I think maybe I did like Tuesday, Thursday, and then Sunday. Maybe Wednesday sprinkled in there. But between Thursday and Sunday, I was feeling excellent because I don't remember if I mentioned in the last podcast, but I had tweaked my back. And so I was like being really ginger, trying to make sure that I was recovering from that. And I was, a little nervous about getting that many rounds in. And after Thursday's comp class, I think I got like 7 or 8 rounds in, and I felt great. Like my cardio felt great. People weren't giving me like the hardest rolls, but they were definitely challenging. Some of them were harder because it was people that were more evenly matched. And I felt good, confident, like coming up to competition, feeling like cardiovascularly really good. And then I kind of waffled about going to the women's open mat. So I was like, oh man, if someone's like really aggressive there, I hurt myself. Not a great idea. I went there, and that was also great. And I got 2 hours of just like basically nonstop rolling in. So probably like 10 rounds there. And then I went to Monday class last week.
Yes.
Monday we had a guest instructor come into the gym, and we'll get to your story, but you were still feeling sick. So I was like, okay, well, if I don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. on a Monday, I'm not going to. I'll go to evening class. And in Monday's class, we were practicing things that are incredibly helpful and great coaching. There's nothing wrong with the coaching. Awesome partner. Nothing wrong with the partner. But just freak accident, I was doing a single leg takedown, and as we were falling, my partner kind of like knee shielded as we were falling, and I just fell directly onto her knee on probably one of the most sensitive areas of your ribs that you could possibly hit. So it's like right underneath, like it's like the bra line in the front of your ribs, just kind of to the left of center by about like 6 inches. So just like really quite tender area. And I haven't felt a pain like that rolling before. Like I don't know what my face looked like, but she was like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" And like like knocked the wind out of me. I had like one of those oh my God, kind of like I think I'm going to puke moments. And I was like, I need a moment. Take about 60 seconds, just kind of try to like laugh it off about like, oh, a knee to the boob really hurts, because I thought that that's what had happened. I was like, boobs are sensitive too. So I shook it off, was like, ouch, that hurt. And we just finished class. That was just during the drilling part of class. So it was like the very beginning of what we were doing.
Oh.
So I finished class. I got 3 rounds in at the end of class. And then hung out. I was like, yeah, I'm a little tender, but like nothing crazy. And then over the course of, I think that day to Wednesday, like the pain just was like getting worse and worse. And I think sitting in a car and driving really wasn't like helping, because I have to commute to work and I have, 2 to 3 hours of driving every day.
Well, I remember you coming home that night and you were like, it didn't hurt there, but getting out of the car was tender.
Yeah. As soon as I stepped out of the car, I was
and it's like a 20-minute drive.
Yeah. Like it just started tightening up a little bit. So I was like, oh, it'll just be muscular or whatever, maybe a bone bruise. As it started getting worse, I was like, oh, maybe it's a bone bruise. And then from about like end of day, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, things were getting better and have gotten better since. So like every morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, okay. Like my sleep wasn't affected by it. That's great. I slept through the night. Didn't notice any pain waking me up. And so I'm like stressing out about competition coming up. And on this Saturday, so today is Sunday, yesterday, we have a women's class at our gym. And it's only 45 minutes long. It's with like very new women, typically slower pace, and like maybe rolling or positional sparring at the end. So I was like, this is a perfect opportunity for me to like test myself and see how I feel. And I went to that class and we were doing like back take, rear naked choke drills. And right off the bat, in the very beginning, we were doing our warm-ups and everything was feeling okay warm-ups wise. Like I expected some tenderness, and we did forward rolls and like forward shoulder rolls, and like one side more than the other, but definitely still both sides was like, oh, this is pain. Like This is not like light. This is like, ow, that hurts. I shouldn't be doing that.
It's not uncomfortable. It's painful.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, good thing we only did 4 of them.
Yeah.
And then, like shrimping and all of that, like I wasn't being super explosive or anything, but I was like, okay, again, tender. I can work through this. Totally fine. I expected some tightness. And then we did our back take stuff, and I'm rolling with my partner, and we're, one person is trying to like grip fight to break away from the other person who's trying to get a rear naked choke. And we fell to the side that I hurt on the first, round of drilling that we did.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that hurts, but like not terrible. I was just like, that's uncomfortable. I don't want to fall on that side anymore.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like tried to pull us to the other side as we were drilling. And then we rolled, and we did like 2 little like half rolls with positional sparring. So we were starting in the back, like position, one person.
Yeah. Start on the back.
And with those 2 rounds, I feel very capable, like rolling with the other women at the gym. And so like I feel like I can do things to protect myself. And I don't feel like I'm going to be here in side control the whole time like I am when I'm rolling with like a bigger guy. So I was avoiding certain positions, and even so, like she kind of rolled me over, was trying to pass my guard, and kind of like rolled me from my side into side control. And that also hurt. So I left that class just being like, okay, well, I expected some tenderness. I am still on the recovery path. I'm 1 week out. If I've made as much progress as I have between injury and now, I have even more time between now and competition. I should be okay. I'm still like 50% in that mindset, but I am also 50% of me, and the voice in the back of my head is saying something's different about this. When I like palpate the rib, there are 2 spots on the rib.
What does palpate mean?
Like touch with your fingers.
Oh.
Yeah. Press gently. I can feel 2 areas where there's like inflammation. It's a bit more raised, and it's raised over the rib bone. It's not raised over like the intercostals. And I mean, I know that there's like muscles that lay over everything, so it still could be muscle. Mm-hmm. But it's raised, and then if I press on it, like it hurts specifically in one spot. And because it's 2 different areas, those 2 areas I'm imagining are to the left and the right of where her knee hit me, and it makes me pretty nervous that I fractured both sides of the rib right there.
Yeah. Either side of the impact zone.
Yeah, but I have gone on to, I have an appointment tomorrow morning for an x-ray. Normally I wouldn't, if there wasn't a competition coming up, I wouldn't go and like
do all
the extra like radiation exposure for something where if it's a contusion or, a chest cavity injury, like muscle tissue injury, or just a minor fracture, like the treatment is basically the same.
I was going to say, no matter what, you just
rest until it doesn't hurt anymore.
Yeah.
But I want to, because I do have fear that if it is fractured and I go compete and someone falls on me, the chances of it being a displaced fracture are so much higher than if I have a bone bruise or just muscle tears, which is just like, it hurts. You'll be maybe not the smartest thing still, but it's less like long-term damage.
Yeah.
It's not like
you'll puncture a lung.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to go through the process of getting an x-ray tomorrow, and I'm bummed. I'm a sad girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Just because I know, like I told you before we got on the podcast, every morning that I wake up where the pain isn't getting better is like a 10% more of a chance that I'm not going to compete.
Yeah.
But I was laying down upstairs with our son, putting him down for bed. And, I was like, man, I think I feel worse right now than I did yesterday this time of day. So I think that going to class kind of aggravated something. I'm just, again, trying to be optimistic and hoping that I aggravated the muscles and not a fracture.
Something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were talking on the couch just briefly while you were having a moment after putting our son down.
Yeah, I was crying.
And, for the listener at home, it was like, well, okay, just pull out of the competition. It's not that big a deal. Like, why are we so upset?
Yeah, just a silly local competition. It happens every 3 months.
Why are we so upset?
It's a combination of things. I would say this competition has been something to look forward to for the last, 2 months since we decided that we would both be able to do it. I'd say 3 months because I had the like idea in the back of my head that maybe I could always do no-gi.
Right.
Work's been really, really stressful lately. So this is a very good escape in my mind and to work hard towards something. And I really feel like I'm like, oh man, I've like made progress. I feel the progress. I feel like better than I was 3 months ago. So I want to be able to practice that.
Express it.
Yeah. So there's that. There's also definitely a part of me that is like, okay, well, you won your last competition, but prove it wasn't a fluke. That's less important, but still for myself, it
still part
feels, I wouldn't want to like just do one competition and then not compete again at white belt and just like wait for a blue belt and then get into blue belt and be like, oh, I suck.
Oh, this is different.
Yeah. And then I'd say the last bit is drawing out of a competition is like a symbol of how injured I am, right? It's accepting a level of injury that makes it unsafe to roll intensely. And so I know that it's like if I decide to pull out of the competition because I'm not feeling better, because a doctor tells me I have a fracture, then I also know that like there's a long-term, like it's not just the competition. There's like potentially weeks or months.
Like a road ahead
that.
of you of recovery.
Yeah. And a fracture means like, what is like the rest of my time doing jiu-jitsu? Like, is this always going to be a problem now? Versus like, I pulled some muscles in my ribs, 4 weeks, light duty, I'll be okay. Yeah.
We got to get you drinking more milk.
I mean, with how hard I fell, I'm not surprised. Like, I really did what you were supposed to do.
Was it like hands aren't touching, but they're extended kind of fall?
Oh, yeah. My rib took the entire, like,
weight of your body.
I think so, because like what we were practicing was like you're shooting for a single on kind of the outside of a person's body and you snatch up that leg. And then you have that leg, you squeeze it in between your legs, and with one arm, you then kind of go in for the standing leg and you pull that one out from underneath them. And so there's a moment in time where like you get them to start falling and you're kind of falling with them.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you don't want to like put that leg back down. You're pulling that leg in. And so like her body's going to hit the mat first, and then my body came right after her. And like normally I feel like my feet and then my knees would like hit the mat, and then I'd come down in side control.
Yeah.
But just because of the angle, it was like her body hit the ground, I started following, and then knee to rib. And there's like nothing else to slow us down.
Yeah, she had just enough room to get the knee up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It reminds me of like the impacts of a car, how like a car crash has like 3 or 4 impacts, right? It's like the car hitting the car, you hitting the car inside of the car, and then your organs hitting the inside of your...
Perfect storm. Yeah. I think if it was like slightly different area, probably would have been like, I feel that area of my ribs and I'm like, oh, that's such tender, like
right in the soft spot.
Yeah. There's no muscle, like I don't have a ton of like muscle sitting over that area. If it was a little bit lower, I feel like my lats cover it up a little bit, but like just underneath like the fleshy part of the boob, like I don't have like big chest muscles. So there's not a whole lot of like a protective layer there.
Yeah. Sorry, I have like 4 different avenues in my head.
No.
I mean, I guess I'm trying to not help, but like bring words to this idea of like understanding why it is like spiritually trying, it's not just an easy decision to pull out of the competition.
No, it definitely isn't. I mean, it feels like you're just like giving up a lot to something that it's like something is stealing something from you.
Sure.
You're like, No.
Some unseen force
Yeah.
is blocking you from.
And I'm in this really weird place right now where it kind of feels like I still have the choice. And so I'm really struggling with like making the right choice. And I still do feel like I have a choice. I don't feel like I'm in a position where all is lost and that I have to make the decision today. Like I'm going to make the decision the day before probably.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing that like about you making a decision today like
There's so much time.
make you heal faster.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not
Monday
like-
evening to Sunday evening is less than a week. So
You
I
won't get your
still
money
have-
back.
Yeah.
It's
I still
like-
have the same amount of time between me and making that decision. So I just know though that it's like there is going to have to be a day when I make a very hard decision. And I hope that I don't. I hope that like Friday rolls around and I'm like, I feel like $1 million.
Sure.
But I have a lot of like micro decisions to make before then too. Of like, do I go to class and try to drill and like move? I know. And like move my body to like keep fluid, keep from getting too tight. Do I just like completely rest, which I don't think is a great idea considering the fact that I have to like drive to and from work. Like I think light movement is going to be a good idea. So day by day.
You know what I'm gonna say?
What?
Walk.
Yeah.
I probably like you could go and watch class.
Yeah.
But I would not drill or roll or do any of those dynamic movements,
Yeah.
especially with another person.
Yeah. I think I need more than walking though. Walking is just too 2D for me.
For you.
Just like for what is tightening up right now, like sitting here in a desk position or a driving position and then just going to walking, which is like basically the same position, but just standing up. Like I need to be able to move in multiple planes in order to like feel like I know our dog's so gross.
Dog is like licking his butt underneath the table.
Instead of just being so stuck in one position. So anyway, that's where I'm at.
Okay. I'm sorry, honey.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's a bummer. Yeah, so for me, I got in 2 days that last week, our 33rd week of jiu-jitsu, between the 30th or 28th and the 3rd, 4th, whatever it was.
And you're coming off of sickness that week?
No, I was fine. I remember I don't know, I think I was just like I was kind of like yo-yoing up and down of feeling like I had a plan to not feeling like I had a plan. Or sorry, I felt like maybe I started the week off not feeling like I had a plan, but by the end of the week I felt a little more reassured that I had like okay, this is what I'm going to do, and I think I can actually execute on it, which is basically, for me, it's just winning the grip fight and taking the person down, or scaring like them, or shocking them into pulling guard, which they might just pull guard anyways.
Yeah.
And then now it's, excuse me, time to work and pass their guard. And if a submission presents itself, then I'll go for it.
Yeah.
If I can work too.
What do you like to use for guard passing?
I think I like the knee cut. I do that. I think that naturally feels like pinning their knee down and then like sliding over it, and like kind of like getting my torso past their hips.
Yeah.
It feels normal. Or like even if they can wrap me up a little bit, being able to, one of our professors says, like a baseball slide, through.
Yeah.
And then like, kick their knee off my foot.
Yeah.
And then end up in side control like that. That feels natural to me. I always feel like I screw up leg drags and just kind of get all wrapped up.
Drilling leg drags versus actually doing them, like nobody ever stays still long enough to actually do it, I feel like.
And then Toriando, like, it'd be nice if I could just like push them to the side and step past their hips and then go straight to knee on belly. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. They allow it.
If they allow it, I'll take it.
If you get a little bowling ball,
Yeah,
short legs, you can just kind of push them over.
Trying to knee cut.
Yeah.
Will be my just kind of like barrel through.
Yeah.
Their legs. And I think just for me with that is just not allowing a ton of space in between our bodies.
Yeah.
I think that's where I
screw that up. That's the golden
rule.
Yeah, just like if you can do that, you can do so much better.
Yeah, the golden compass.
Yeah, stay close.
Yeah.
Create distance when you need to create distance. Create like close distance when you are. And I think like it probably depends on the style of teaching, but I think with the style of teaching that we have, especially, it's like there's a lot of pressure, a lot of tightness, closeness.
Yeah.
So.
And then like, if the grip fighting goes my way, I'll end up on the back or like, hip to hip with a body lock and then just kind of just drop and chuck them to the ground and either end on their back or in side control straight away.
And then if you get side control, what do you do from there?
Feint a choke. When they go to block the choke, take S-mount and then go for an arm bar.
From side control?
Sorry, that was mount.
Okay.
Side control. Bread cutter or Kimura. Though like we were talking before, I always get so...
Or that Americana.
Sorry, Americana.
Yeah.
I always get so twisted up in the Americana. But now, watching a couple videos and realizing that the hand that's grabbing the wrist is also the elbow that's pinning against their face. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to help me a lot with like which hand goes where.
And just like, controlling them because we're not being nice in these competitions. I think that's like, sometimes it's hard to practice and get good at submissions because I'm like, I don't want to drag my forearm across my partner's face and I don't want to give the girls in class cauliflower ear.
Speaking of which, I did that too. So that was an interesting 2 days that I had in the gym. Mm-hmm. That, week 33. The previous week on Friday, I basically had a one-on-one session with our purple belt, and he taught me about basically if you're going for a rear naked choke, you have their back to expose their neck. You can put your palm on their forehead, or you can put your forearm in the bridge of their nose, essentially, and then kind of drive up and back to open up their chin and neck, and then expose the neck for the choke. And
ouch! So like this?
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
that's why it
like
works.
Hurt my own neck just doing that. That's so funny.
And so, I was in class, and this blue belt showed up who hasn't been in class for a while, and I was like, perfect. Like he's gonna be great to like mock roll with at a little bit of a higher intensity, or I feel comfortable going for submissions with him, or like it was just kind of one of those moments where I'm like, great. I don't think I need to be worried about spazzing or kind of like clumsily going for stuff because he can handle himself.
Yeah.
And I'll have the opportunity, whereas like if I roll with like
you're trying
purple belt or brown belt, it's
I'll never find
good luck. So I was going to have the opportunity, and I got to his back, and I was like, in my head, I was like, sorry, dude. And I went and I put my forearm on his face, and I started cranking up and back, but he was already had his neck turned, and then I continued that same direction. And he was like, tap, 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 tap. He was like, dude, that cranked my neck a bit. I was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad, dude. So I felt kind of bad, but I was like, I needed to experience doing it to somebody before trying it in competition to know what it felt like live. So that was a weird moment, but he was fine and he's a good sport. And,
yeah.
He tapped and I let him go, so that was an interesting moment that just kind of came up. But I think it was the next morning. There was a new guy and his partner, wife, girlfriend. I'm not quite sure, but they were like in their early 50s, I would say. Both white belts. And they were brand new. Came into the general prop class on a Tuesday morning or something. And we were doing positional stuff. And the coach was like he knows who's competing. So he was getting us prepped for competing.
Yeah.
And so we were doing like a Shark Tank style rolls where I was one of the people out on the floor and then everybody else was just jumping in after a minute and a half. And it was just like, go, 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 go. And the new guy, he had during warm-ups, he was showing signs of like not knowing how to do the warm-ups.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. It's
like new.
So, you can just kind of clock that. You're like, okay, well, I can now I know what to kind of expect. And he jumped on me during the Shark Tank and put it on me. And he knew how to roll. He might not known of how to do the warm-ups.
And you're realizing that they might go to or have gone to like an ecological approach gym.
Yeah, and like after class, he was mentioning that they would do like in their classes, it would just be like 2 hours of rolling, just nonstop.
Yeah.
So he knew how to roll, and I was like, oh shit. So I had to adjust my game plan and kind of match that energy. Ended up getting to his back, and I had him flattened out. And I was like, how am I going to get my arm underneath his neck? Because I'm like practicing going for rear nakeds.
Yeah.
And so I used the palm of my hand on his forehead, and I started pulling it up and cranking it to the side gently. You know, it wasn't too crazy. And I was like getting my arm under, and then I like look up and I meet my coach's eyes, and I like just slowly like move my hand off his head and keep working for the choke.
Oh, why not? Why did you move it?
Just, I don't know. It's like, it felt like if Ross was picking on the new guy sort of thing,
Yeah, maybe.
But it was fine. He didn't say anything. He was just kind of like watching, and I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if last night didn't go so well, so maybe I won't do that right now.
Yeah.
I won't treat this like a competition.
Yeah.
But, that was kind of a funny moment. Yeah, so those are my two stories from the week. And then we went up to our friend's place for 4th of July. And 4th of July fell on a Saturday. We drove up Friday.
Yeah.
And we stayed there Friday night and Saturday night. And midday Saturday, I pulled Krystal aside and I was like, my body aches.
And that was after like playing in the pool.
I jumped in the pool, which was really cold.
And laying in the sun in a hot pool of water.
Yeah, the slip and slide was hooked up directly to our friend's hot water tank, which is an endless, hot water tank.
Yeah.
And I laid in there. It felt so great.
And then you were on the trampoline.
Yeah, and just like out in the sun.
Yeah.
It's 4th of July.
And they're in the foothills of the mountains, so I think the elevation is a little bit higher too. So all of that to say, the UV index probably was high.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't super hot.
Yeah. Well, because there was like this cool like wind blowing the whole time.
Yeah.
So it was like my body was freaking out. But yeah, I pulled Krystal aside and I was like, I'm having body aches right now. Like, I don't know how this is going to go.
Spoiler, it didn't go great.
It didn't go great.
It didn't go great.
No, it progressively got worse. And once we got, after the fireworks and I took our boy upstairs to do his bath, and I was like, buddy, I'm laying in the bed right away with you. I feel terrible. And I woke up the next morning and like all night I was like sweating and up every hour or two.
Yeah, and we were Googling like heat exhaustion, heat stroke, you know. I don't think it heat stroke, but definitely like some sort of heat exhaustion.
Heat exhaustion. But, you know, we got home and I felt better a little bit on the ride home. Like ibuprofen kicked in.
You were so out of commission that like I packed
the car,
everything, and packed up the car by myself and like got the boys in the car, like the whole, and then like
Yeah.
Ross just climbed in, which is very atypical.
Yeah.
For you. You know, I'm like handing my kids off to our friends there. Like, can you watch them while I bring the pack and play down? Can you, you know?
Yeah.
So you were sick.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
I felt terrible. And then I was like, you know, if it was heat exhaustion, I was okay, 24 to 48 hours if it's really bad. And you know, the only time I've ever had heat exhaustion was when I was really young in Wyoming and during the summer. Like I was just like going hard and like puked, you know?
Yeah, and you bounced back pretty quick.
Yeah.
Your kid.
And I was like, okay, like the next day should be fine. But I was basically sick with like the cold chills and sweats all week. And then like this really weird like stomach cramping crept up for like 36 hours,
Yeah.
which still kind of like hits me in waves, but like not as bad as it was, where it was like every minute I was having like this intense, like I thought I had like an ulcer or something.
Yeah. It could also be, I mean, who knows? We're not doctors, but some sort of like electrolyte balance because you got so dehydrated, but then you were trying to rehydrate and drinking a bunch of element.
Yeah. It was just, you know.
Yeah. Same.
But you know, I didn't puke or.
Yeah, you didn't get the
like
Clyaspora or whatever the heck's going around right now.
So, you know, it's all that to say is like, my plan was to be in the gym this week and working on my game and get ready for the competition. And that was not going to happen. So I was like, and then this next week I was going to take as a deload. So I was like, well, I guess I deloaded 2 weeks early, and this week I'm going to go in for like a ramp up. Like,
yeah, which I think is smarter from a like sports, like, you know, not psychology, but that's what we used to do for CrossFit.
Yeah.
We would have to deload 2 weeks before, and then we would kind of prime our bodies by doing, you know, not light, like 80% days.
The crazy thing during that week of sickness, week 34, I got down to 171, which I haven't hit 171 on the scale in.
Because the other day you were like, I haven't been in the 170s in over a decade.
Yeah.
And then you almost got into 60s.
Yeah.
So you're probably very dehydrated.
Yeah. And so that was going to be what I was going to say, is that I think I got super dehydrated because once I started feeling better on like, what would that have been? Thursday and Friday. And I was like able to drink more liquids and have more time of getting liquids down. I bounced right back into like the 174.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, area. And now staying at like 175.
Perfect.
Eating volume wise, eating what I want.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're exactly where you should be because with your gi and stuff, another 4 pounds.
Yeah,
and you're just on the upper end of the weight class, but plenty of room to eat and drink that morning.
Right, because I just want to be able to do my normal routine in the morning and not think about any of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was one thing that I didn't mention just because I've been kind of like, ugh, you know, TBD if the comp is actually gonna happen. But when I hurt myself, I was like, I am not going to worry about trying to cut another 2 pounds right now. It feels really aggressive to potentially lose 2 pounds of fat in less than 2 weeks. And I don't want to do any sort of water glycogen cut. So I bumped myself up to the next weight class.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like light for my weight class. But now I get to eat whatever I want. And it feels good.
Yeah.
My body needs fuel for healing, so I figured it's better just to eat And then also I have more people in my weight class now.
Yeah, we were talking about it, and it's like you were cutting for nobody in your weight class.
Well, technically I was cutting with just one other person.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. For a gi. And so I bumped myself up in the gi division to 152.5 and under. And I'm weighing like 141 right now. But no gi, they shift the weight. So it's like up to 147 with my gear on. So I've still got room there.
Yeah.
But that division, my no gi division, I'll check here tonight, but no one is signed up for it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'll go up to the next one, or someone will come up from the one underneath.
Yeah. Yeah. So why stress yourself out and do all that
to go fight the same person twice.
For them to be like, hey, good job making weight. You're going to fight the same person twice, or you're going to get bumped up anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's our 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I tried looking around on Reddit, and I couldn't find anything interesting to talk about.
I think I found one.
Oh, okay.
Let me see.
Cool.
Okay. Hey, stop. I didn't like the one that I originally had. It was a little bit too, how should I say it, serious for today. I feel like we've already been pretty serious.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of scanning to see if there's anything else. Okay, would you rather? How about that? I'm going to make up a would you rather right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Would you rather? Actually, no, this was from the podcast that we've been listening to. Would you rather stick your fingers in someone else's mouth or have someone stick their fingers into your mouth?
Oh.
While rolling, obviously.
While rolling. I've had somebody with their fingernail clip my tooth. So it didn't touch like my lip or my gums or anything, but it was just like a hand was flying and it caught the tooth. And it was very creepy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I would rather have my fingers in somebody else's mouth.
Yeah. I think a lot of people said that. They're like, I don't want to taste anybody else's body. It's pretty nasty.
Shout out to the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu podcast.
Yeah.
Josh McKinnon.
A lot of hot takes.
Go listen to that.
Okay, and then let's say for our own sake, hot takes.
Oh.
I think I mentioned this last week, but can't remember. But I was thinking about it as I was listening to the podcast on my drives, and my jiu-jitsu hot take, which again, this was like a common topic with like people getting hurt, us hurt, other people getting hurt rolling together. You and your partner, you and your training partners, you and your rolling partners did not hurt each other while rolling. You got hurt doing jiu-jitsu with another person, if you must even mention. I haven't mentioned the person's name who I got hurt rolling with to anyone else who I've talked about my injury to, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't want to put a bad taste in someone's mouth. And if they want to like figure it out on their own, they can.
Sure.
But yeah, we're doing jiu-jitsu. Your partner didn't, sure, some people hurt each other, but they shouldn't be in the gym. But a good training partner didn't hurt you. You just got hurt. That's my hot take.
It's tough. Yeah, it's a hard thing to catch because like I got my elbow cranked.
I almost just said it just now, like explaining it to you.
Yeah, like I got my elbow cranked and I came home and I was like, man,
Blase hurt me.
Blase hurt me while we were rolling. And you're like, you got hurt rolling.
Just because, if you keep doing that, like.
And I was like, thanks. Thank you for unfucking me because it's such a cleaner way to to exist.
And then you're like, okay, is it correlation or causation? You know, if you continue to say like, I got hurt rolling with Bob, and then someone else is like, I got hurt rolling with Bob too, and then I got hurt, like maybe there's something wrong with Bob. But
To be
one
fair,
person saying Bob hurt me,
yeah.
like, sucks for Bob, because
Yeah.
it could be an accident, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
It could be you doing shitty jiu-jitsu.
Bob has a track record,
Apparently.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
The Bob that cranked on my elbow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
If it's Bob for guys, who is it for girls?
I mean, isn't it always like Bob and Jane or Bob and Susie or something?
Yeah.
Susan. Yeah.
Whose name's Susan anymore?
I don't know.
Anyhow. Yeah, hot take. I mean, it's hard. But try it out there. Try explaining getting something cranked on by one of your partners and not naming them.
Yeah.
See how it feels.
Yeah.
It feels way better.
It's so much better for you as an exercise of being like, what went wrong?
And like and one of the reasons why I agree with your hot take is because I heard another member who you could argue that the member he was rolling with was actively manipulating his limb in a way that was like
dangerous.
Or like put it in a vulnerable position, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could unnecessarily.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And this member, the way he explained it was like, it was so clean. He was just like, yeah, I got, my knee popped or whatever while we were rolling. I was just like, thanks, dude. Like that actually is super cool of you. Like it just kind of, it helped.
Yeah.
It helped just kind of like relieve the pressure of like this whole thing we're doing. And
just
I guess
imagine how you would feel if you like heard someone say like, oh man, Ross cranked on my neck yesterday.
Yeah, I was the guy.
Sorry.
And I deliberately did it.
Yeah. But like, I am just trying to do jiu-jitsu. Like, aren't we allowed to do this? And then you start questioning things and like, we are all signing up for this. We're here willingly.
Yeah.
It's an aggressive, violent sport. So like, if you don't like it and you want to just like blame people for getting hurt, I don't know.
Maybe
I'm
it's
not
not for you. Yeah.
You can tell I have feelings.
Yeah. Well, and so we didn't talk about it, but it was an interesting moment, and maybe we can end on this. But to the fact of that it's a violent sport and you are signing up for it, and like have a bit thicker skin in understanding what you're signing up for. Mm-hmm. Like you're not here to villainize your partners because you're stepping into the ring too. You signed the waiver.
Yeah.
But when we went up to our friend's house, I remember this really like big deload. I felt this like really big release of like kind of getting away from everything and realizing just how,
I think you said intense,
like jumping in. We jumped in both feet into jiu-jitsu, into the deep end. And we went as often as we could from the first month.
Well, and it doesn't help. Like it actually was probably a detriment, not detriment, but like made it even more intense when you're already athletic or have good body awareness.
Yeah.
So like we were like doing more, moving faster, rolling with more people, trying more, and it like just ups the intensity.
Yeah, we there was a lower barrier to entry because we weren't combating
fitness.
Yeah, lack of fitness.
Yeah,
like poor physical fitness.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could run the governor a little hotter. We had more RPMs.
Yeah.
And going up there and realizing that like it was a break and kind of getting away from it all, I realized just how much I was in that fight or flight kind of space, and willingly, right? I was willingly going and doing it, but like I talk about it a couple times. Like I had panic attacks driving into the first couple classes, like where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get out of the car. And I like would laugh it off, but going up there and kind of like having that bit of like a reset and like an exhale, I was like, oh, I think that was kind of wearing me down more than I thought. Like constantly getting into that fight or flight space. And the more you do it, the better you get at it, right? Like you don't want to not, the point of this is not to avoid that entirely, but don't be naive in thinking that when you do this, like you're going to have that nervous system wear on you. Whether you recognize it or not, it only takes a moment of stepping away from it to realize, ooh, maybe I do need a break every now and then. And kind of getting away from it to kind of reset and allow your body to kind of acknowledge that and kind of, so part of it, I was like, oh, maybe I'm just like getting sick from like a relaxing.
You never know. Is it mind, body, or a combination of both?
Yeah. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't think I was feeling that way.
Yeah.
But I realized it later.
And it does happen a lot to people when they go on vacation.
Yeah.
You get sick. So.
Yeah. So if you're out there doing jiu-jitsu and don't think it has if your body feels fine, you might want to check in and just make sure that your nervous system isn't taking a toll.
Yeah. Yeah. A little yoga or something. Some breathing.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's
Thanks,
all
honey.
I got. Thank you.
Me too. Next week. Exciting day.
Oh, man. I'm just trying to let it be what it is. Channel my inner Viking. Give them nothing, take from them everything. Yeah. That's all I got.
Cool.
I love you, honey.
Love you.
And don't forget.
Rolling, 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 rolling.